Hello, and welcome back to the Voice for You podcast, where we empower the leaders of today and tomorrow. I'm your host, Jesh Malfana. Today, I'm joined by a young leader in our community. With a passion for business and entrepreneurship, he is the co-founder of Kentucky Tutor, helping students with ACT, SAT, and PSAT prep nationwide. He also serves as the co-founder for Locked In, a student hub for growth and development, taking nothing but the best. Serving his community to build each other up in the best ways possible, he is Mr. Ben Lee. How are you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well myself. Obviously it's springtime, sun's up, fun's up, just that phase before the summer hits. So yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share a little bit of my story and hopefully teach a few, right?
Definitely. Obviously, the Voice for You podcast is about, empowering the leaders of today, tomorrow, and with someone as accomplished as yourself, nothing but growth and nothing but the best. Definitely. But before we get into the interview, tell me a little bit about yourself, your hobbies, your passions, and just who you are as a person.
Yeah. So my name is Ben Lee, but we've kind of already gone over that. But, I'm from Paris, Kentucky, but I prefer to say that I'm from a low-income background because I think that kind of establishes who I am in a more complete way. So I come from a low-income background and I've gone through a lot of struggle in my life. And I guess the goal for my life is to make sure that other people don't have to go through the same struggles that I do. So you mentioned Kentucky Tutor, and the way I'm doing that through Kentucky Tutor as well. ACT tutoring is expensive. It can go for thousands of dollars. SAT tutoring is the same. And when I was going through that process, I didn't have the access to those resources. I don't have $1,000 to just spend, right? But I was lucky enough to get a good score in my ACT. Not everyone is that way, right? So for students that can't afford the tutoring for those tests, I just give it to them for free, right? So I split Kentucky Tutor into free tutoring and paid tutoring. It's the same exact service, but if you can't afford tutoring, you can just come to me and I'll give it to you. And if you can afford tutoring, well, you pay for it, right? But obviously, I think that's a really good way to kind of break the disparity that we see in the education system between the low income and the high income students, to where we can kind of offer the same resources and opportunities and make them available for a larger audience, right? And then through Locked In, well, Locked In is a community based on providing opportunity and providing connections, right? So most high school students don't understand the positions that they're in, the advantages they have of being, a kid, the opportunities for learning. And there's so many students interested in entrepreneurship, so many future leaders and current leaders, but they just don't understand that they can do anything, right? So we bring these kids together that are motivated, that are high achieving, to make them learn from each other and provide each other resources and opportunities. And then we've recently been partnering with a lot of other communities and other programs, and like SHIP, for example, I don't know if you've heard of them, or NSRI and Synthica, different opportunities and internships too, to give our high school students, so that, no matter where they're from in the world, or no matter what their, socioeconomic status is, they can get the opportunities that they need to succeed. And that's one of the big things that I'm passionate about. But in my free time, I do enjoy sports. Big football fan, fins up. And I play a lot of basketball, spend time with my friends. I'm just a regular person at the end of the day, right? But outside of that, just lots of leadership and helping people.
Definitely. Personally, myself, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so I'm a big Titans guy.
Poor guy.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. I just want to go back to 2021, man, genuinely.
Tannehill?
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. Okay, that's valid.
I mean, those were our glory days. We almost made it to the Super Bowl if it weren't for Mahomes and the Chiefs, but it's fine. We have Cam Ward now. We'll get back to the glory land eventually. I don't know when, but eventually.
You see what happened to the Dolphins?
Did they lose Tyreek Hill?
We lost everyone.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, so y'all in the same spot as us now. So welcome.
I'll take a little bit.
But like you said, a lot of students don't understand the powers that they have as high school students. Even though we're not a lot of us are technically not adults, they don't realize, like you said, what outlets we have to build something from the ground up. age is just a number. That can be said in some weird contexts, but here, age is just a number. I mean, take Kentucky Tutor or take my podcast, for example. I mean, I started this when I was 16? Who could? It's just, just the ideas that keep flowing, and if you put your mind to anything could really happen. It's just passion at the end of the day. So I 100% agree with what you said there. But before I get into the more serious questions, I like to start my podcast. I start my interviews off with a little bit of an icebreaker, just to get an idea more of who you are as a person. So obviously, like you said, you are very big into sports. Mm-hmm. First off, like you said, you play basketball. Do you have an NBA team that you support?
Probably the Miami Heat.
Okay.
I'm out of Bayou, just scored 83.
Yeah.
I'm just a big Miami fan because I like the colors. Okay. Never been to Miami, not from Miami, but I got into the Dolphins because I was like, cyan and orange is nice, and then it was just Miami from there.
Definitely. I mean, you can't really say you're a bandwagon because it's all Miami teams, so
yeah, and it's not like they're good either, so
yeah. I mean, Bam did drop 83s
against the Wizards.
Yeah, the Wizards are low-key weak. Well, low-key. They're the weakest ever. But if you could describe yourself as one athlete of all time, who would it be and why?
It's a good question. I would go with Andrew Luck, right? I mean, great at sports, right? But I think he took himself out of a bad situation to prioritize his health. And, he wasn't just an athlete, but he was a very smart student, went to Stanford. And I think that models me, because obviously I'm not the super athlete, right? But with Andrew Luck, I think the big thing was him taking himself out of the situation. Because a couple years back, when I was at one school and I was going through a lot, and I transferred schools to find myself in better opportunities and to, change my own life. And I think that's kind of mirrored in what Andrew did when he retired from the NFL so soon.
Definitely. I mean, there's more to life outside of sports, health, family, that matters a lot in the end. Do you have a favorite, obviously you're a Dolphins fan, so do you have a favorite NFL player?
Well, it was Tyreek Hill. It's still going to be Tyreek Hill, but I'm a little bummed to see him get injured and then now be a free agent.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more of an NBA guy. My favorite player is Giannis. You can call me bandwagon, whatever. I've been a fan since 2015, so I feel like I get a get out of jail free card there, personally. Sports is a big game changer for a lot of people, in my opinion. Just brings that competitive edge to you. I actually wrote one of my supplemental essays on just sports in general. Hopefully that gets me in somewhere. I don't know. We still got 2 weeks for that. As a current senior, obviously I know what school you're committed to, but for the viewers, what school have you committed to, and what about that college attracted you to, put it, obviously because through Questbridge, put it as one of your top options? And
yeah. Well, when I was going through my college process, and I'm actually a college counselor, so I kind of tell this story a lot, but when I was going through my college process, like you said, Questbridge. For the viewers who don't understand, Questbridge is for low-income students. It breaks it down to, there's 55 top schools. And if you get in through Questbridge and you get in through one of those schools, you are guaranteed a full ride scholarship for 4 years at that school. So automatically when I see that, there's 55 schools, right? And they're all the best in the nation. So I really didn't have to worry too much on the academics, right? I was like, no matter where I go, it'll be a good academic school. So I thought about the things that actually matter to me. I'm going to live there for 4 years. So sports, of course. I mean, we've already been talking about it, but I eliminated every single school on that list that wasn't D1, right? So I cut myself down there. And then this one, it's a little funny, but I cared a lot about the food, right? So I went through and I researched the food, and I was like, I want to eat good for 4 years, right? And I looked into the location, and I looked into just the communities that are going to be there. And I brought my list down from those 55 schools down to 7, right? So I had 7 schools on my list. Yale was my number 2. Looking back, I think it should have been my number one. My number one at the time was Princeton, but recently I've kind of learned that Princeton wouldn't have been the environment for me. I think they're too academic focused, which I like to say I'm a smart person, but I would not want to spend all my time studying because of
Yeah.
grade deflation, right? So I am glad that I got into the school I got into. But yes, I will be attending Yale for the next 4 years on a full ride scholarship.
Definitely. Do you know what you're majoring in at Yale?
Yeah, well, Yale allows you 1 year, like before you pick your major, but I am intending to major in physics. And what I say is that physics is mathy enough to go into engineering, to go into computer science, to go into business, like economics, and science enough to go into medicine. But I think just combined, physics is like a perfect path to law too. And I'm the type of guy, I have no clue what I want to do in 4 years. So I started off like, yeah, I think I'm going to go into medicine. Recently, I've made the switch to law, and I'm thinking, maybe I'm going to go into administrative law, right? But I just want to keep my options open because the biggest thing I've actually been doing is business, right? And I've been doing that since I was like 15. So keeping my options open allows me to learn as I go through this process, and put myself in the best position, 4 years from now.
Definitely. I've never heard anyone say like physics. I've never thought like physics can be like, I understand like the engineering side. I never knew physics would be tied to law. How is that possible?
Well, physics is one of those things where it really comes down to logical reasoning, right? You hear a lot of math majors actually going to law because on the LSAT there's logic, and math is just one of those things where if you're good at math, you're probably good at a lot of other things, right? And so physics is the same way, except you add the sciences to it and you really take that math and apply it to real world principles.
Exactly.
And so you hear about physics majors that go out and do everything but physics, right? The president of Princeton University is a physics major. And that's one of those positions, like a president of a prestigious university is more politics than it is education. So I think physics puts you into the positions that a lot of other majors don't put you into because it allows you to keep a very open path throughout your education. But also, when you think of like, if I were to ask you to name a scientist, you'd probably name a physicist. So, Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, Oppenheimer, all physicists, right? I mean, Isaac Newton, all physicists.
All physicists, exactly. I mean, Isaac Newton is the face of physics.
Yes, exactly. But he's also the face of science, right?
Exactly. I mean, everyone that you just named is low-key. Like if you think of scientists, the first name everyone says is Albert Einstein.
Physicist.
And then Oppenheimer, with the movie recently. I feel like he was more underground before Christopher Nolan took him out of the ground. And I mean, if you're getting a biopic made by Christopher Nolan, your name is going to be everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Like, now he's one of probably the most talked about scientists of our time.
I would say him or Tesla. I think Tesla's story is coming out a lot more, but also a physicist.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, with the Tesla company, I mean, it's got a name from somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Got its name from somewhere, exactly. I can't speak, golly. But, maybe I might have to look at physics now. I don't know, because I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know what I want to do. I mean, even looking, obviously your resume is mostly business. If I look at, my resume, I got, business, I got journalism, I got science, I got, just, cultural work, I got volunteer work, organizations, more global issues. I'm just doing whatever. So
yeah, I gotta agree. I don't think I'm all business. I say what I am is leadership.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not just founded one, founded the other, and then put me into like I say I play basketball, I'm the president of the basketball club, or when I volunteer, I'm the president of that organization. Everything I do, I try to rise myself to a leadership position, just because I like to kind of guide people, right? I think it's something that I think I have skills in and I can do a good job at.
Exactly. And speaking of, I mean, that's a perfect segue. I mean, your will to guide people has shown, especially through being a business owner of Kentucky Tutor, which we have mentioned already, but it's a tutoring service that offers ACT, SAT, and PSAT tutoring for students across the nation. Obviously, being low income yourself, what made you so intrigued to start up this operation in general?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Well, so my father was arrested in October 2023. I'll just put this out here to understand my context. So that was the fall of my sophomore year, and around that time I was at my first high school. I was working 25 to 30 hours a week, juggling two sports. So I would wake up at about 5:30 a.m. I'd walk to school at 6 a.m., so a 40-minute walk, and then I'd stay at school from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. because sports practice. I'd walk home, 40-minute walk. I'd make dinner for my family. And some nights I would have to pay for that dinner, right? And I wouldn't even have time to eat that dinner because I'd be already walking to work. So I'd get to work maybe 7:30, 8 p.m., depending on the day, and I'd work from then to about 11 or 12, right? And then I would walk back home. And so I would get home at 12 a.m., wake up 5 hours later, right? So I was sleep deprived, I was exhausted, but I was putting in the work. Making some money, supporting my family, paying some bills. Like I had to pay for my braces or help with meals, right? And, I noticed a small dip in my grades. Luckily, it wasn't larger, right? I got like 1B, but that's not really what I mean by dip. I mean, I was like originally like a 98, 99 student, and I was scraping by now with 91s, 90s. So I'm glad that my grades stayed above to where it really didn't show out in my college applications or anything I got. And I won't say I got lucky because I did put in a lot of work for that, but I am proud of myself for that. But I was like, this isn't sustainable. I am tired. I'm exhausted. I cannot keep doing this. So I applied for a boarding school program, an academy, where I could, take my classes but kind of pull myself out of all that extra outside influence. So I still wanted to support my family, but I realized that the way I was doing it just wasn't sustainable. It would be more beneficial to both them and me for me to go get an education, go make way more money, and then come back, right? Exactly. So that's what I did. And so my extracurriculars kind of switched. And one thing though is that I couldn't make money anymore because Gatton Academy, they had a rule at that time. The rule was you cannot be employed. Well, I am a little bit of a rule breaker, right? But I was finding some loopholes and I was like, well, I can't be employed, so you know what I'll do? I'll just start my own business. Now I'm not employed, I'm the employer, right? So exactly. Winter break of my junior year, I started Kentucky Tutor, and then I started to think about it and I was like, because around that time, I started Kentucky Tutor after my first real ACT, which I scored a 34 on, but I was still studying for the one I take with my school. So I'm studying for that ACT, and I'm like, man, this is terrible, right? I cannot get tutoring or anything, and to be quite frank, I didn't really need it. But I was looking at it, and you just open up the ACT website, and it goes like $1,000 for this program, and I'm like, what is wrong with this, right?
Got that kind of money, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, some people do, right? But not most. So I'm like, okay, this has to be fixed. And that's when I'm like, free tutoring for low-income students. And that really identified with myself and identified with my project. And then, I was still applying through colleges for my own scholarships, right? So I get into this program called College Prep Scholars, and that's the first step of QuestBridge, where it connects you to students that are like you, that come from like low-income backgrounds that are high-achieving. And it kind of lines up with Locked In that phase, but Locked In wasn't even an idea yet, right? But I find all these students that are like me, and we all get put into a Facebook group chat. And I'm like, okay, I send out a message. I'm like, I'm offering free tutoring to all low-income students. Like, hit me up. And I feel like more people should have hit me up. But I did get like a lot of reception on that. Maybe 20 people reached out to me, and I tutored all of them. And then that was kind of it, right? We all continued on with our college applications, and I eventually ended up getting into Yale, right? But that same day, a few of those people reached out to me, and I got a message from one, and he's like, I just got into Yale. He had a 1380 SAT coming in, and he was like, I don't think I would have gotten into Yale without you, because after my tutoring, after we worked together, he had a 1520. And then I got another message, and I had a student get into UPenn Wharton, and then a student get into UPenn Nursing, and then a student get into Notre Dame. And so that day, when I got into Yale, it was life-changing. But when I saw 4 other lives change for a project that I had put a lot of effort into, and something that I didn't know that it would go this far, but it did go that far, and it's the type of thing that makes you realize that doing good in the world can not only change your life, but change the lives of the people around you. And it makes you want to keep doing it, right? So that's kind of the process of what led to Kentucky Tutor and what we're planning on continuing for the rest of, at least while I'm there, right?
Exactly. And I 100% agree with what you've said. I mentioned it off the interview, but Me, a part of Voice for You, actually, we are starting a side project. We are calling it Pathway Mentorship. Obviously, like you said, a lot of students can't afford, they can't afford ACT prep and all that kind of prep. And, that's the same thing with college admissions, too. A lot of students, especially low-income, first-generation students, can't afford that.
College counseling.
They can't, because I go onto TikTok, I see these ads like, yo, I'm a college counselor, hit me up. I click on it, $500 for one session, $1,000. What is the guarantee that I'll get into that college if if I pay you $1,000? What is it like 100% guarantee that I'm gonna get into my dream college?
Love to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. So with Pathway, we are planning on it's free of charge for high school students. Basically, we're taking rising high school seniors and pairing them up with current college students from across the nation. They've gone through the struggle. They've seen how it works. They know that, money isn't everything. And, we're pairing them up, taking a mentee and mentor. But the thing is with the pairing, we're going to make them be the exact same person. Like, take as many similarities as possible. So, say if a mentee has shown a lot of interest in film, and then a mentor has a lot of awards in film, boom. Because it's a lot of, similarities to help throughout the process of writing essays, rounding out those extracurriculars in your junior summer, all that. So, so I definitely see where you're coming from there. And hopefully, you join on as a mentor too later.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Obviously, with that. But, I definitely see where you're coming from there, because even though I didn't make it past the second round, I did apply QuestBridge myself. And, coming from not like crazy low income, but, kind of a low income background too. I know the struggles of, trying to. My parents never let me see the hardships that we go through, but, they're always there. So, definitely I 100% agree with where you come and the strive and the goals that you've had with Kentucky Tutor. But like you mentioned at the beginning, with Kentucky Tutor, there is a free version and a paid version. So how do you distinguish the difference between who goes into the free version, who goes into the paid version?
Yeah, low-key, like someone reaches out to me, if they say they're low income, I'm not going to question that, right? So I just, they'd say, hey, I'm low income, I like free tutoring. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of an honor system, you know what I mean? If someone tells me they're low income, I'll just believe them, right? And that could put me into a situation where, everybody says that I'm not getting paid anymore, but if that's just the situation I'm in, I'm okay with that, right? I'll write it out.
It's that honesty and integrity that matters the most. Definitely. You can't really lie. If you lie, that's just going to build up later on. So,
yeah.
Definitely. But there's a lot of services out there, like you said. But other than the cost aspect, what do you feel like makes Kentucky Tutor different from the other organizations and businesses that offer these kind of services?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to 100% answer that. I can tell you what I can perceive and what I see, but, as someone who never went through the tutoring process, I can't say like, oh, this is 100% what we do that they don't. But I do see, I think a big thing that we've done better than some companies is our advertising. I feel like every single day you hear some new high schooler going into, tutoring, right? And then 3 weeks, a month down the line, you check their website, you open the link, and it says this website's not available anymore, right? Because they didn't understand the importance of the advertising and getting to the clients as quick as possible. So I think that is one of the big things that sets Kentucky Tutor apart from everybody else. We try our best to advertise on Instagram, to advertise on TikTok, and I'm the type of guy, like, if it's not working, if you check Kentucky Tutor right now, I'm following 3,000 people. That's because I went through, I followed 3,000 people, and then when they follow back, I reach out to them. Like when I was in a pinch, I'd reach out to them and be like, hey, like, would you be interested in ACT or SAT tutoring, right? I'd just send them a message. And so, like, if Kentucky Tutor isn't, like, doing as well as it normally is, I'll make it happen. And that's kind of the person I am. I make things happen, whether it's hard or whether it's easy, right? But then when it comes to like the ACT, SAT tutoring, I like to think that ours is very personalized. So if someone is coming with a certain struggle, we'll fix it, right? Or if someone needs more practice than others, we'll sit there and we will do the practice together. And then I'll send them hours of practice, and I will do everything that I can to get them to succeed. And Kentucky Tutor actually is expanding to college counseling too, like your project. And we are looking to open up the free college counseling for low-income students. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to manage that, because right now what I'm doing, just to kind of put myself into the field, it's the same way when I did tutoring. Like, I started tutoring at $15 per hour. For the ACT, that is like a third to a tenth of what you'll see of the standard price. My college counseling, I started even lower. You said $500 per session. I charge $250 per year, right?
Yeah.
So I start, I undersell myself a lot, but I don't want to charge something that I'm not, crazy good at yet, right?
Exactly.
But my first college counseling session was actually this week, and we sat down. I asked him a ton of questions. I learned a lot about this kid, but he told me like, oh, I'm interested in law, and I connected him to a program. Within a couple hours, he was already starting a new volunteer organization for the entire summer in a field that he's interested in and something that he's going to be able to put in his college application. So I think it is just, I don't want to say that I'm just better than the other people, right? But I think I work harder to try and understand my actual clients, their needs, and provide and cater to them. And so I think that's like a big difference. Some people have like a curriculum, right? And I don't. I don't have a curriculum. I make it as I go.
Exactly. That's hard. That's hard. Yeah,
Yes,
no, that makes 100%. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, each person is different in the way that they are, and there's a lot of different services out there nowadays. But like I said, none of them have that guarantee factor to them, like that 100%. Like, oh, pay me $100 and I'll get you into the college of your dreams, or pay me $1,000, I'm gonna get you to the college of your dreams. I just never believed in pay to win.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the most successful people I know, they are like low income. They didn't spend like thousands of dollars on starting up their stuff. They started it because they liked it and they felt passionate about it. So definitely. And I was gonna say something else, but I forgot. Definitely, I 100% agree with that. But along with Kentucky Tutor, you also served as a senator for the WKU Student Government Association. So could you go into more depth on what that entailed?
Yeah, something I started this year. Well, so we were in a meeting, and the director of my school was like, oh, there's an opportunity where high school students can participate in the WKU SGA, because I am a dual enrollment student. I live on WKU's campus. I take all my classes at WKU, right? So I hear about this position. I'm like, yeah, I want to do it, right? And there's this huge election, right? There's only one position in my whole school, and I'm running against 6 other people. And I'm like, wow, how am I going to win this election? Well, I took some chalk, and I wrote in chalk from our campus's library. And WKU were the hilltoppers, so it's just a huge hill, right? So from almost the top of the hill at our library, I wrote my name in chalk, vote Ben Lee, in a straight line, just like vote Ben Lee, 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 from the top of the campus all the way down to the bottom of the campus. It took like 6 hours. My back was broken by that point. My hands were like crippled because I was just writing vote Ben Lee across the entire campus. And then I put a sign, I get a double-sided sign. I just take 2 poster boards and I take some twine and I tie them together, and I make like glitter and paint, and I wrote vote Ben Lee on the front and vote Ben Lee on the back, and I just wear it around campus for 4 days straight. My name is covering the entire campus. Well, safe to say I won the election, right?
Put that much work in you.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's what I mean. Like, I'll get it done. I'll put the work in, and it'll happen. But no, yeah, that position, we try to improve our campus. That's like the number one, thing that we try to do in our student government. We have a $120,000 budget. So we could just get to, buy things for the campus, or, support our student organizations, or host huge events and things like that. And it's like, we're actively making a difference. It's pretty cool to be a part of, especially at a young age, being 17 and being surrounded by all these people that are, full college students, and having the same level of, responsibility and having the same say that they do. And it's something that I want to continue at Yale. I was actually looking into Yale's. Theirs has a different name. I think it's Yale College Council, but their budget is $1.2 million. So a bit higher, right? But I'm hoping to be a part of that, and you might see Vote Ben Lee all over Yale's campus if you visit this October. So stay tuned for that.
Maybe with another board with twine.
But yeah.
Now that's low-key an interesting marketing strat. I mean, Do you think anyone took any pictures of you while you was walking around with
Yeah,
it?
no, I was on my school's Yik Yak. Someone recorded from the bottom. They walked the entire way. I had people come up to me while I was doing it. I mean, people still remember it to this day, so just kind of made a name for myself there. But I mean, if you check my LinkedIn, if you scroll back far enough, you'll see the picture of me in the Vote Bentley sign where the post was like, I was just elected the WKU like Gatton senator. So it's pretty cool. And then the next post was me swearing in. So a little bit of a different style, but yeah.
I'm gonna have to go on a scavenge after this to find that. I need to see that low-key sounds very interesting. I mean, I feel like people have done that, but it's like very, very rare anyone actually puts that much effort in. That shows how much like dedication, hard work that you put into all this. So
yeah, but it was a very competitive election for the Gatton spot. Like I said, we only had one spot, and I think we had a total of 10 people running, but a few just didn't really do anything. Very, very competitive.
What would you say is like the craziest story that you had, other than was there anything other crazy stuff that happened during that campaign?
And during that campaign, honestly, I think yeah, the sign and the chalk is the craziest thing that happened. I don't know if I can kind of point out any big thing, but I think the best thing that happened was all the help and support that I received. All the people that, helped me write the name in the chalk, or the people who, voted for me, of course. Very grateful for them. And, the people that came up and just told me I was doing a great job and that they've never seen anybody campaign this hard, right? So the kind of support that I received is very, very influential for me, especially during that time, and very, it just makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like the most support comes out during like those election seasons. Like when I was running for state office for FBL, I didn't realize I had that much like support behind me. But I walk out of, I was elected state vice president. I walk out, my whole chapter just sees me, starts cheering. I got like hugs. People were crying. I don't think people were crying because of me, but hugs, cheers, good job, onlookers. And even during that campaign, I remember I was sitting by myself, in one of the big halls, and then, a school that I've never had any interaction, by the way, just starts chanting my name from the, escalator coming down, and I was like, that's my name, so I feel like the support really shows during that time, especially when you're running for a big position against a lot of people too, because it shows how much people care about you and how much people will support you if you connect with them a lot easier. So,
yeah,
definitely. But obviously, we took a detour from the entrepreneurship side, so let's get back onto that. You are the co-founder of Locked In, which, quote unquote, is for cracked high school students to meet other cracked high school students.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by the word cracked high school student? And in your eyes, what makes a high schooler cracked?
Yeah, well, it kind of started with the idea of motivation, right? When we were going through our first round of applications, we weren't just looking for anybody, right? And you talked about it earlier, we are the best of the best. So we have hundreds of applications, and we only really let in 6 people at a time. And so what we're looking for is people that are doing something in the field they're interested in. So, I think we get the reputation oh, you have to have a huge business to get into Locked In, and it's really not true. I think one of my favorite applicants, we have a section in our application that says top experience, and it's purposely vague. It says top experience, 100 250 words, and it's so that I want to see what people put there, right? So some people might tell a story about how they're, one of the best drummers in their state, right? And I remember reading that story and I was like, this is really cool. This guy's just really good at the drums. And it was kind of a heart-touching story. And then we also get applicants that go in there and it's just numbers, right? And so it's interesting to see the duality of what is your top experience? Is numbers what you prefer as an experience, or is a story that really touched you and can touch the people around you, your top experience? And so things like that allow us to see what makes a student cracked, right? But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for motivation. We're looking for personality. We're looking for grit, which I think grit's kind of become a buzzword recently. But the way I put grit is just learning from failures and staying strong even when things are hard. And we're looking for people who are going to make the most of our resources And that's a big thing because we want, we offer all these different opportunities to students, and we want to make sure that they're actually using them. And so in my words, that's what I would say cracked is. I think we might need to update that saying. I think cracked is getting outdated. If I were to update it now, I would just say the spot for motivated high schoolers, right?
Definitely. And obviously, there's a lot of people that, show passion nowadays, but, you gotta put, just because you dream doesn't mean the dream becomes reality. And to make a dream into reality, that equals hard work, obviously like yourself. But, also with Locked In, like you did mention, you have gained many partnerships, but Bridged, Syntheca, Ship, and so many more. So how are all these connections made, and how do you believe they've shaped your goals and you in general?
Yeah, 99% of them just came from me and Jan building our personal brands and building connections with the people around us, whether through LinkedIn or through, just being ourselves, right? And so most of them just people slide into our messages and hey, I really like what you're doing with Locked In, I'd love to get on board, here's my project. Ship is huge now, right? 8,000 applications in their first cohort, partnered with Anthropic, partnered with Bordy, partnered with, they had lovable CEOs, and they're insanely huge now. But when we first talked with them, it was just an idea. So I was there from day one with Ship because, Krishna, who's their founder over there, he was just a real person looking for other real people, looking for someone who shares the same ideas of trying to help people. So I think that's what we prioritized when we came to starting with our partnerships. Our first partnership was really just one of Jan's, one of the places that he worked at, because I think some of their ideals aligned with ours. And then it grew from there. We had some people that were going to offer some internships to our applicants, and then Ship got on pretty early, and we had some research opportunities for high schoolers. And this morning I had a call with a very large accelerator group for youth. So that was interesting. They have about 20,000 followers on LinkedIn, and they make millions annually. So it was really cool, and they told me that, and there's more coming with them, so I'm not going to say their name or anything yet, but they told me that they heard about us through their students. So their students were talking about us in their accelerator program, and they're like, hey, you should reach out to Locked In, right? You guys should set something up. And it's that's crazy. How did we get here, right? We started in December. Now we have 3,000 followers, and now there's kids all around the world talking about us and putting us into situations, and it's kind of word of mouth, right? But I think that word of mouth comes from a certain level of being genuine and a certain level of just trying to help others. And so, we're getting ourselves into positions that I never knew we were going to get into.
Definitely, but I want to go back to what you said about, you and Jan, is that correct?
Jan, yeah.
Jan, starting this. So how did y'all get in contact? How did y'all build this idea to begin with?
Yeah, we got in contact the same way that me and you are doing right now, right? He reached out to me, it was 8 a.m. I was eating breakfast with my mom, and he says, hey, would you be free to call real quick? And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we have, I just finished up breakfast. I sit down, sit on my computer. We sit down, we talk for about 10 minutes. Towards the end of the conversation, he's like, hey, we only have one semester left. Let's start a community for high schoolers. There's not many of those out. I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Well, 15 minutes later, I was putting out a post, telling people we were just trying to gain some interest. If we get our first 30 members in, this is late December now, and it worked out really nicely because America and Hong Kong are on completely different sides of the world, so different time zones, right? So when I was up, he was asleep, and when I was asleep, he was up. So we were almost running 24/7. So the growth, we were allowed to kind of set up things way faster. So we had the WhatsApp community to start, and I built the LinkedIn page, and I remember coming up with the logo and the name, and I thought it was fun. Locked In is obviously a play on the words LinkedIn, and Locked In was a very popular term around then. But the logo, because it's a global community, of course the globe, and then there's a chain with a lock because the globe is locked in, right?
Locked in, exactly.
But then each link of the chain is like a connection, right? Because you're making links with the people around you, and then locked in is like holding those links together and bringing them together, right? So it's kind of like a double entendre with the logo that, it's not like something crazy or super obvious. But you see people talking about like the Amazon ones, right? Where it's the arrow from A to Z. We kind of had that same kind of like level of thought behind our logo. And then, January 1st comes around and we do our first drop. And I remember I was with my friend Hunter at that time. We were just hanging out for New Year's Eve, but we read through the first applications, like I told you, went through like the first 50 of them. We got our first like real applicant cohort in the community. We set up our small groups. Not even a month later, we were over 1,000 followers on LinkedIn. And then not even a month later from then, we were over 2.5 thousand, right? And now we're sitting at 3,000 followers and we have all these partnerships coming up. So it's just like, it's been huge for us. You could say growth was exponential, but of course that's not going to last forever. It's slowing down, but I'm not worried about it because my thing wasn't the numbers, it was the impact. And I think we're having more and more impact every single day. And that's what I want to see, right? So I think Locked In start was honest and it was, genuine. It was just two people talking, and then it turned into something a lot bigger than just two people.
They definitely, obviously y'all got the marketing stuff, but if y'all ever want to do anything with Voice for You, just like let me know, bro.
Yes, sir.
I love the drive and everything that y'all have done so far, and it's only sky's the limit.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to say. So definitely. But obviously you've gone through so many different stories, being a college counselor and Locked In with the community and stuff. So in your opinion, if you can share, what is your most favorite story that you have came across, and what about it stood out to you compared to other stories that you've heard?
That's a steep question. I might have to think about that for a second. Yeah, I think one that kind of sticks with me, and this might be a little like niche, I guess, but I come from Kentucky. I'm really influenced by Abraham Lincoln. Born and raised here, and I think he's one of the greatest public speakers and politicians, and I think he did a lot of good for our country. And there's a story about him that kind of connects to a lot of things like I'm interested in, like memory, because I'm a student, I want to learn how to learn better. And so he was in the schoolroom. Like me, he would walk hours to school, right? Or he'd walk hours to shows to learn and like put himself in all these different situations to learn. But in the schoolroom, he would read out loud every single time. And he did not care what the people around him thought. So he'd just sit there and he'd read out loud, and he'd get snarks, people would look at him weird, but he would just do it, right? And he did it because it was beneficial for his memory, And I think that ties into a lot of things that I care about. Like, I started reading out loud recently because it is better for your memory. Like, now I can recite entire quotes, entire passages of quotes, right? Because I just sat there and I read out loud, and I didn't care what people thought. And that was like two big stories from that. Like, don't be embarrassed. Like, if you're doing something to actively better yourself, you shouldn't be embarrassed about it. So he didn't care what those other people think. And then I like the fun like little tip, read out loud, and it improves your memory. So it's like a story that I'm pretty interested in just because of all my like connections to Kentucky, connections to learning, and the connection to the idea about embarrassment. I feel like we've gotten too far with embarrassment where we should kind of just let it go, right? So I told you about hanging out with Hunter Earls on New Year's Eve, but my big thing for 2026 was giving up embarrassment. So that night on New Year's Eve, right before the launch of Locked In, we went out to a street in Louisville that's pretty populated, and we wore the stupidest outfits we could. Like, I wore a traffic vest, hula hoop, a like rice farmer hat. Hunter Earls wore, I think, a lampshade and like a suit jacket or something. It was like, we wore the stupidest stuff ever, right? And we just walked around, and we had this huge like rope of, what are they called? Tickets, right? Like tickets for a raffle, right? Raffle tickets. Obviously, we didn't have a raffle prize, but we were just walking around. We just handed people raffle tickets. Raffle at 12 a.m. We just handed them to people. We just like walked around, and we did that for, I don't know, maybe an hour, and it was freezing. But we didn't care what people thought. And at that moment, it was like, okay, that's it. Like, that was the most embarrassing thing that I can think of doing, right? I just made myself look stupid around an entire populated area, right? So it's done. No more embarrassment. And so I just went into 2026. I was like, it's gone. I'm not going to be embarrassed about things. And I think that kind of comes down a little bit to that story of Abraham Lincoln, where it's just like, if you're going to do something that's going to better yourself, don't be embarrassed about it.
Definitely. Like you said, Abe Lincoln's one of the best, one of the most respected politicians of our time with the work he's done. Being a public speaker is hard. Obviously, for people who've done it so much and so often, it doesn't really seem that hard. Now, as you look in more, a lot of people have that fear of public speaking. In general, like you said, because of that fear of embarrassment and fear that people are going to judge. But what I've, especially these past few months, have realized is that the only people come and go, but the only person that stays constant in your life is yourself. And so if you feel comfortable doing something, then just do it. Like, because in 5-10 years, people aren't going to remember that, like that specific moment. You're going to have a whole new friends. You're going to have a whole new life, whole different world in 5 years compared to what you have now. So just do what you love in the moment and let the backlash come, but that backlash isn't going to stay forever.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. But, to round out this episode, the Voice for You podcast is about empowering the leaders of today and tomorrow. So as a leader yourself, what is some advice that you can give to any of our viewers or me or anybody about what they want to achieve? What is some advice that you can give to help them achieve what they want to, and dreams-wise or something like that?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice is to pick a passion, right? You don't want to do something that you're not passionate about, and pick a problem, right? So I think the problem I try to fight is inequality and income inequality, right? But I'm passionate about learning, and I'm passionate about teaching, right? So I'm attacking that problem of inequality through the lens of education. It allows me to attack a problem I'm passionate about in a way that I'm interested in, right? I don't want to say, like, I get the wording is a little weird on that, but it really is, do something that you're interested in and do it for good. Do it for a good cause, is the best way to put it. And that'll allow you to keep working hard and not get bored, I guess, right? And it'll allow you to make more of a difference if you're actually enjoying what you're doing. And I know you hear that a lot, but it's real, right? And if you get into a situation where you want to give up, don't give up, right? Again, it's very cliche, but it's just the way it is. If you give up, you're not really learning much from that opportunity. It's different from giving up and letting something go, right? If you let something go, you're learning from it. You're like, this isn't working for me. If you give up, you're like, I'm not working hard enough for this. So it's a little bit of like the divide there. So just work hard and work in a field that you actually care about and solve something that you actually care about, right? And that'll just make your life better, but it'll also make all of your projects better.
Definitely. I 100% agree. There's like 2 or 3 things that every episode, every leader says, and it's just, that's like one of the points that always comes up. It's because it's true. If you're truly passionate about what you're doing, what I like to say, if you're truly passionate about what you're doing, work becomes play. It's just fun, and it's because you love doing what you do in your life. Like, take like this podcast, some people don't like sitting in front of a screen for hours talking to people, but like this whole thing for me, I'll be so honest, dude, it was a shower thought. I was standing in the shower one day and I was like, I have never seen a podcast about people like talking to high schoolers about stuff they've done. What if I just start up like something like that? And it started slow too. Like for me, it was like a month or 2. I had 2 episodes in, and both of them were people that I personally knew. And then I just started reaching out to a bunch of people with the Coke series, and I had 50 of around like 30 of the best students across the nation, just saying,
Coke scholars?
Yeah, just like, I'm willing to hop on. And I've got people like one girl, she was talking about her fight for Eid in Iowa. Another one, she was talking about her life living by the Grand Canyon. You know, some of the craziest stories ever. And it's not because I doing it for the resume. It's because I enjoy it. And say for Kentucky Tutor or Locked In, you've seen the inequality yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're passionate about that. And that's one thing I tell a lot of students that come up to me. It's like, Jesh, you're absolutely crazy. You're such a cracked individual. How do you do it? And what I tell them every single time is just do what you like. Genuinely, if you do what you like, everything will fall into place. Don't do stuff just for the resume.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not worth it in the end. You're not just wasting your time. And I feel like a lot of students, when they say they're building onto the resume, they're doing random stuff just for the resume, it ruins the theme of what you're trying to submit yourself to colleges in general too. If you just do what you like, then there's going to be that theme that obviously builds around it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, definitely. But, once again, Ben, thank you so much for joining today for an episode on the Voice for You podcast. Personally, it means a lot to me. Obviously, you're Yale class of 2030 right now. Go Bulldogs. Yes. And, your work with Kentucky Tutor, Locked In, I wish you nothing but the best. This has been an honor to talk to you. So once again, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. You too. It was great talking to you, and I can't wait to see this come out, right?
Definitely. And for the viewers at home, thank you so much for watching till the very end. Remember to follow the Voice for You podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And stream our episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and wherever you stream your podcast/music. Once again, I'm your host, Joshua Vanna. Thank you so much, Ben, for joining, and we will see y'all next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.